And former State District Judge John Creusot is in tonight. We appreciate you being here.
Sure.
And it's just awful seeing those pictures of this poor little girl and hearing her grandparents cry. The grandparents talked to us very candid about they called CPS. They said these bruises are awful and something weird is going on, something dangerous is going on for this little girl. Why is that not enough to remove Liliana from her mother's care, at least temporarily?
I really don't know. I mean, it appears that it would be. Those types of bruises and distortions of her face and her body, those should have been addressed by the proper authorities, by Child Protective Services.
Because they're not normal kids bumping into things type bruises. I mean, you would think they would just raise some sort of red flag.
Yes, when you have that type of bruising across the face and it's consistent and they're consistently complaining about it, really more should have been done.
Do you think it's that because, especially in the state of Texas, being with the mother is kind of above all else, that's where the child needs to be? Is there too much of that coming into it, do you think, at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, even though in this state there's a presumption that a child should be with his or her mother, but on the other hand, when you have this type of evidence, teachers, for example, if the child was in school, should have reported it. Any doctor or nurse, any relative, anybody. Some people have a special responsibility to report it, but once this was reported, and it appears it should have been acted upon by the proper authorities.
So, you know, you said special responsibility, and that's kind of how I think of caseworkers who are dealing with these every single day. So let's talk about the caseworkers. In particular, we have some numbers that we want to share with everybody. High stress, low pay, high turnover. One of the latest reports shows that each caseworker in the state of Texas handles 28 foster kids in the foster system. When it comes to abuse cases, we're talking 17 cases per day.
Right.
It's outrageous. That's almost disaster just waiting to happen. A case like this, more cases going to happen.
It is disaster waiting to happen. In fact, there are probably many children who haven't reached this point yet in the system today that are being complained about, but probably nothing done. The recommended caseload is, 15 or so a month.
A month, and this is per day, abuse cases per day.
There's no way that you can keep up with that. Now, why they failed to do anything in this very obvious case, I don't know. But when you mix in the fact that you've cut those budgets and you have low morale, you have high turnover, you have a high vacancy, and you don't have the resources to do your job, there are going to be cases like this that slip through the cracks. It doesn't excuse the conduct of the parents, but still, as a state, we could have done better.
But going back to that special responsibility, I mean, these are our kids that we're talking about. This is what the caseworkers should be there for, and to protect these children. How do we fix this?
Well, we probably need to just do a complete overhaul of the agency, including looking at funding and looking at pay and looking at educational attainment of the people who work there, and just take an entirely different approach. In the past, in the state of Texas, when we have budgetary shortfalls and we have economic downturns, one of the things we do is we cut social services, we cut education, and we cut this agency. And to be quite honest, I've dealt with these folks who work in this agency, the Child Protective Service workers, and I've always felt sorry for them because they really have more than they can handle, and they're just running from place to place. It's very difficult to communicate with them. They don't return calls, and I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think it's because they just don't have time. And getting them to focus on something for any period of time where it's appreciable that you can communicate and get something done is a very difficult thing to do with them because they're spread so thin.
Well, so not only the fact that they are overworked, but then you look at what they're dealing with.
Yes.
It's got to be emotionally very draining for them.
Yes, it is. And especially when you don't have the tools to continue to make a difference. It is very draining for them.
The tools and the support. But the overhaul sounds great, but that's a long process.
Yes, well, we don't even have a legislative session coming up anytime soon.
Right.
And then that's number one. And
right.
then number two, we have to have an agreement to do it. And probably considering where it is and what needs to be done, it's going to take a massive infusion of money and also just a rewrite of the whole mission and how it goes about doing its job. Because right now it's been cut to the bone, so to speak. So it's going to take a lot.
Well, and so you've got the mom and her boyfriend now facing charges with these, and I know this is kind of speculation, but with the two people now being fired and this one resignation, do you foresee perhaps anything criminally coming out of that, looking at these folks to see if there was something blatant that they just pushed aside. I don't know. Could there be?
I don't know.
criminal-
You'd have to go back and see exactly what information they had and if a failure to report or do something.
Yeah.
I think it's a failure to report can be a criminal offense. Once we get to the agency, if it's a failure to act upon the report, I'm not certain if there's a criminal penalty for that. But if so, it may be, probably would be looked into in this case.
Well, because the grandmother told one of our reporters, she said, the CPS worker told me I'm getting call after call after call about this child.
Yes.
So somebody knew something, and
Yes.
it's being
And
investigated.
somebody should have done something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
John, thank you for coming in.
Thank
As
you.
always, we appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.